In 1975, something extraordinary happened at the NASA Langley Research Center in Hampton, Virginia. A massive military helicopter, the CH-47C Chinook, was intentionally crashed into the Earth. Why? To save lives. This was no accident. It was one of the most ambitious crash tests in aviation history, codenamed the T-39 crash test. What scientists and engineers learned from it would go on to change helicopter crash safety forever. The CH-47C Chinook is a twin-engine, tandem-rotor, heavy-lift helicopter originally developed by Boeing Vertol for the U.S. Army. By the 1970s, it had proven itself in Vietnam and was used extensively for troop transport, artillery movement, and supply runs. But there was one major problem: survivability in the event of a crash. Many military helicopters at the time lacked what we now consider standard crashworthiness features: energy-absorbing seats, reinforced airframes, and crush zones. In high-impact crashes, crews were often injured or killed not just from the crash itself, but from the way the aircraft collapsed under pressure. Enter NASA Langley. In collaboration with the U.S. Army, Langley engineers prepared an unprecedented full-scale crash test involving an actual CH-47C fuselage. The test vehicle was designated T-39, a stripped-down but fully representative airframe loaded with state-of-the-art crash test dummies, sensors, and cameras. Everything was ready for a high-impact drop from 30 feet in the air, simulating a 33 feet per second vertical crash velocity, equivalent to a hard landing in a combat zone or during an emergency. To get reliable data, the Chinook was fitted with anthropomorphic test devices, what we'd call crash test dummies today. These simulated real human occupants, measuring spinal compression, limb injury potential, and even head trauma. Over 150 data channels were used to record acceleration forces, structural deformation, and dummy movement, making it one of the most instrumented helicopter crash tests ever conducted at the time. With the fuselage suspended by cables, the countdown began. The 15-ton CH-47C slammed into the specially prepared soil surface below. In a fraction of a second, decades of aviation safety knowledge advanced forward. The test was a resounding success. High-speed cameras captured the moment of impact at 500 frames per second. The landing gear collapsed. The belly crumpled. Debris scattered. But most importantly, the fuselage did not break apart. And the test dummies survived. This meant that under similar real-world conditions, real people might survive too. The data yielded from the crash was groundbreaking. Among the key takeaways, our energy-absorbing seats significantly reduced the vertical G-forces experienced by the crash test dummies. Crew compartment integrity remained mostly intact, showing that structural reinforcements worked. Head injury criteria, HIC, levels were reduced with improved seat harnesses and layout planning. And importantly, it highlighted the role of controlled deformation, letting certain parts of the aircraft absorb energy to protect the occupants inside. These principles are now fundamental to modern aircraft and rotorcraft design. The T-39 Chinook crash test proved that crashworthiness could be engineered into large rotorcraft. It wasn't enough to survive the crash structurally. You had to design for survivability of the people inside. As a result of this and subsequent tests, new crashworthy seating systems were adopted in military helicopters. Fuel tanks were redesigned to prevent post-crash fires. Pilot and crew restraints were significantly upgraded. Our aircraft floor structures were modified to better absorb energy. NASA's collaboration with the U.S. Army went far beyond this one test. The Chinook crash helped establish Langley as a leader in aviation safety research. The methodology used in T-39 would influence future rotorcraft like the UH-60 Black Hawk and AH-64 Apache, both of which were designed with crashworthiness in mind from the outset. The T-39 test was a milestone. It proved we could crash a 15-ton helicopter, and people could walk away from it. That changed everything. Today, crash survivability is a central part of rotorcraft design, military and civilian. And it all ties back to brave tests like the one at NASA Langley in 1975. The CH-47C Chinook, once a symbol of brute lift power, also became a symbol of safety science in action. From tragedy came learning. From testing came safety. And from a deliberate crash in 1975 came progress that continues to protect lives to this day. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into aviation history, like and subscribe for more real-world test stories that change the skies forever.